Ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing a video with a cat in my lap today, and what we're going to be doing today is a video that has been kind of commonly requested, actually. People keep asking me to do, like, what are your favorite epics or your most used epics? So today, what I'm going to be doing is discussing and talking about the top 5 epics that I use the most on my account while developing my account and where I use them the most. So hopefully this is helpful to the people that are maybe developing their account and want to know which epics are good to use. So without further ado, hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. All right, number 5 for me, and I should say not all of these people are going to have gear on them while I'm using them. These aren't builds that I would say, okay, copy my build. These are just characters that I have been using, and currently I have upgraded or moved beyond them to mostly like legendaries like Zavia, etc. as my dungeon keeper, whereas Seer I actually did use before in the dungeon. So if you're wondering why Seer makes it to the top 5 of the epics I've used the most, what I'm going to be showing you here is her basic attacks. A normal attack has a chance of granting an extra turn. That's not why. This here is part of the reason why, which you get a crit rate, but you also get weakened debuff, AoE weakened debuff on all enemies. It doesn't have to hit, so there's no counterattack or reflect damage or anything like that. And as well as she's void, so this can always land if you have the accuracy check. Now the third move is really what everyone knows her for, which removes all buff from allies and enemies and attacks all enemies. Damage is increased according to the number of buffs, and each has a chance of placing a sleep debuff on the enemy for 1 turn. On each enemy, I should clarify, the chance of placing a sleep debuff increases by 5% for each buff removed and inflicts less damage to bosses. So essentially what this move means is that if you pair her with somebody else, for instance, like a person else that's on our list in Skull Crusher, that will be further on our list in a moment, or even Mausoleum Mage or some of these other characters that are on the list here, she will remove all the buffs as well as all the buffs on the enemy and then do a huge nuke. For this reason, if you go second, she can actually be pretty good both in PvP, but mostly in PvE is where I've used her, as when I clear through waves, combining her with anyone who really places buffs up, like the epics I mentioned previously. This character really starts to shine as she's able to one-shot waves in almost any dungeon. I mean, I can one-shot waves in Fire Knight, Ice Golem, Dragon, but once you get to the boss, she doesn't do quite as much. Also, having an AoE weaken can be important for people like me who do not have a Dracomorph or Venus or somebody to really get that AoE weakened down. So consider this character. If you have her, she is definitely someone you can build. Now, number 4, we're going to be going here next to her is Skull Crown, and Skull Crown is another character that is a void epic, and this is going to be the last void epic on this list until we get to non-void epics. And the reason people use this character and she's so important is the basic attack here attacks all enemies, but if they have more HP than 50%, she attacks again, basically an extra hit. And the extra hit is AoE as well, so you can hit twice on enemies if you're going first. That means she can both be a oh my goodness, I can't speak, a campaign farmer. She can also be a dungeon clearer, and she can be used in PvP. She can also be combined with people like Lanicus or Longbeard in order to charge her in to get that double hit as well. The other part is she has an AoE weaken here on a void character, so you know that it's not going to have a chance of hitting weak, so it will apply. That being said, it's only a 75% chance as opposed to like Seer's 100% chance, so it's not always going to be on there, but it will apply if it does roll the chance and you have the accuracy check. Now moving on here to Resilient, which is another fantastic reason people use her. Basically, when she's going to die, she instead does not die. She gets one kind of freebie turn. This is why Rhodos and other people who hit through Unkillable are so good against her, and people who block revive are good against her because when you pair her with Sinesha, she gets a revive. Now, we're not going to talk about Sinesha in this video, but if you do happen to have her, she's a good pairing. And as far as she goes, she's mostly used in PvP. However, she is excellent in PvE, but the reason you see her in PvP is she has a 23% ally speed arena boost as an epic, and this allows you to put her in the lead and still get additional speed if you don't have an Arbiter or something, if you're using like that Longbeard type of team. Now, moving on here to some non-void epics, Zargla is going to be my number 3, because Zargla is, in my opinion, well, she's not, I was going to say she's underrated, but a lot of people do use her. I think she might be one of the best epics in the entire game. And let me kind of walk you through why. The basic attack is fantastic, where it can apply a weaken, and just, you'll notice a lot of these characters have a weaken. I think having a 25% weaken on Epic is very important. But this one here, attacks an enemy, instantly activates the crack armor skill if the target's killed by this attack. It's only a 2-turn cooldown, and this hits pretty hard. But what's the crack armor skill? If you look at the crack armor skill, it attacks all enemies 3 times. After the first hit, has a 50% chance of placing a decreased defense debuff on all allies for 2 turns. Basically, the second one can apply the decreased defense, then the third one can hit with that decreased defense down. And this does hit 3 times. For that reason, it can be strong against Rodos, but this is mostly a dragon killer. Now I'm going to show you very quickly here. If I go and get out of these offerings and try to get... Nope, we just wanted to let me out of this and get to the dungeon here. If we go with the dragon, I'll show you a quick example. Here you go, is my Zargala with Zavia Bad L's. Obviously, you're not going to be using Bad LW Zavia team, but you can kind of see why I use Zargala here. Now, watch here. See that damage? She applies the AoE defense down and allows people to kill her. Now, if you had like a Kel or something, instead of like Zavia's, you would have Zargala go first, and you would have Kel go in order to do his AoE after the defense down has been applied, etc. So I just wanted to show you real quick that AoE defense down move is mostly why I use her. She's also fairly strong in arena. If we go to arena here and we try like a battle, here's what admittedly somewhat decent team. We're against a Hegemon, but that's all right. We're going to put it in anyway. And he's going to go first. Okay, we didn't get the block cooldowns, which is good because maybe we can get that decreased defense. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to try to remove the Valkyrie real quick. And then what we'll do is we'll hit and try to kill her. So, okay, there we go. Got rid of her. Now if we can get a kill with her, you can get a good example of this correcty. There we go. We got weaken on it. She's going to revive. Can we get ourselves here? Okay, so watch. Crack if it kills him. Didn't kill him. Unlucky. I actually thought that was going to kill him, if I'm being honest. Let's stop her from going. We really, really, really don't want that person to get the shield up. Okay. I know Rodos is kind of carrying this, but I wanted to show you the AoE here if we can get it. This is mostly just me misplaying. I should have done the AoE first. But I thought we were going to one-shot him, which we did not. Okay, let's sweep him. Now, here we go. Okay, so you can kind of see the damage here. You get the decreased defense. Not a whole lot of damage, but it does hit multiple times. She did have the attack down. They didn't have defense down or anything like that, but she's also strong affinity against Rodos and hits multiple times. So you do have some things in there that can kind of keep her interesting. And here we go one more time. We can hit. There's the damage. 22,000. Stays alive. This glitch where Rodos' HP, you can't tell how much HP he has, is a little bit aggravating, if I'm going to be honest. He could have 80,000 HP right now, and I would have no idea. There you go. So she hits fairly decent. I do have somewhat decent gear on her, but it's not like atrocious. I'll show you real quick. Where is she here? Yep, she's an epic. That's right. Pow, you can see the crit damage, which is why she's not hitting very much. It's only 137%, and she has a 100% crit rate. I'm just really trying to apply that defense down, and she would do significantly more damage if I had higher crit damage. I mean, the crit damage is fairly low, but you can see the accuracy and everything's really what I'm worried about here. And Zargala is fantastic. Now we're going to move on to, we have 2 characters left, and I'm going to throw in an honorary mention here. I mentioned Mausoleum Mage earlier. I'm going to mention him here again, which is that he has decreased speed on the basic. That's not why we have him. This is why we have him right here. Block debuffs buff on all allies for 1 turn. Also, he places the 30% increased crit rate and a 60% defense on allies for 2 turns. So this is fantastic because it's 3 buffs, so it can pair well with Seer if you do happen to get them. That's a huge nuke to have a 3 team-wide buff. That's nuke a wave by himself with Seer in that combination. But on top of it, this is a really good character for both arena and PvE. Having block debuffs is okay in PvE and things like Ice Golem, stuff like that. But in terms of actually benefiting the team in PvE, it's mostly just the crit rate and the defense up for people that are based upon defense. But then this is where he's kind of like a mini Scartorsus and can be used to remove buffs and things like Dragon, etc. He removes all debuffs from all allies and heals all allies by 10% of his champion's max HP. He heals each ally by further 10% if 1 or more debuffs are removed from that ally. Fills each turn meter by 15% if 2 or more debuffs are removed from that ally. So you can see here how this works. Effectively, You block debuffs, make him tanky. When that falls off, if they get debuffs, etc., he then removes it. First Tamir makes him heal. So you can see that he's kind of a consistent supporting character that will allow you to stop the debuffs from happening and keep yourself alive through the dungeons if you're having issues with him. If you've pulled this character, I would highly recommend try building him. He's also mostly used in PvP, because if you look at the top players here, everyone basically uses Sifi. The reason for that is the block defense plus the block debuffs plus the increased defense is fantastic, plus your basics good, but you can kind of get that same thing in Mausoleum Mage in a little bit of a discount way. Before Sifi was out, people were actually using Mausoleum Mage to some pretty good effect here in the higher arena, but now it's really kind of all Sifi. If you're not trying to go for platinum, then Mausoleum Mage is absolutely still a viable option. Now moving on here to the last but certainly not the least is our guy Skull Crusher. Skull Crusher, everybody knows, basic attack, healing, a reduction if the target's defense is lower than his, but this is really why everyone uses him, because it's the team-wide counter attack. Everyone except himself gets counter, everyone except himself gets ally protection. He gets unkillable, meaning he can soak up that damage and yet still not die, all the way up to turn 50 in the clan boss, for instance. And this is on the 3-turn cooldown, again allowing it to rotate nicely with the clan boss. And he removes he removes the duration of all debuffs by 1 as his passive. So he kind of has a little bit of a Doom Priest passive there in a way on himself as well. So for that reason, this character is pretty much used as the only team-wide counterattack / the only team-wide counterattack with protection in the same combo. Counterattack is only in this character plus 2 legendaries in Valkyrie and Martyr, these two up here, and these characters are hard to get and some of the best characters in the game. So having an epic variant of that instantly makes him useful in PvE and PvP, mostly PvE, but you can use him in PvP as sort of a replacement for somebody like Krisk in a way to kind of get yourself some ally protection / counterattack. But I wouldn't suggest using them in the higher brackets once people use Rhodos, as though just one-shot you through your Stonewall. Now, if you have any further questions or anything about what epics you want to know if they're good, leave a comment and I'll just let you know my opinion about those epics. These are not, the top 5 best epics in the game. If you don't have them, you lose. This is my top 5 most used epics I used while I was coming up. Tayrel was going to be on this list. The only reason I didn't really bring him, he's kind of an honorary mention, same with Miscreated Monster, because in my personal opinion, Miscreated Monster is so godly everyone knows him. I mean, kind of to the point you could argue Skull Crown's that way too, but I think Miscreated Monster is basically legendary stats. He's completely disgusting. If you have him, you should max him out. Tayrel is kind of the same way, but I think Tayrel has a little bit more of replacements than someone like Skull Crusher, Mausoleum Mage, Seer, Skull Crown, or Zargala. I think Tayrel has other people that can fill that role, like a Jareg or other attack downs. For instance, Sentinel came out too, which kind of takes his role a little bit, and there's some other people that take that role as well. Now, Royal Guards, Code Hearts would have always been mentioned in this as well, but Royal Hearts and Code Guards, Royal Hearts and Code Guards, I'm going to keep Royal Hearts and Code Guards. I've done videos on those over and over and over and over and over again. So you guys know, and Code Hearts are rare. So Royal Guard's still in there though, too. Okay, boys, let me know what you think of your epics, and I'll happily answer them for you. Thanks for sitting through and during this video. And if you want to see more of these garbage videos with yours truly, and my cat's sitting on my lap today, even though you can't see her here, I'm giving her a scratch. And subscribe. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next video.